2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue, because you'll never win another race. NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation, and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens.
On February 21st, 2025, the White House turned into a battleground. President Donald Trump locked horns with Maine Governor Janet Mills over his new executive order banning transgender athletes from women's and girls' sports. This wasn't a quiet policy debate. It was a raw, unfiltered confrontation. Trump threatened to yank $250 million in federal funding from Maine schools unless the state complied with his order, which redefines Title IX to mean sex is strictly what's assigned at birth. Mills, a Democrat with a spine of steel, didn't flinch. She shot back, "We'll see you in court," promising to fight tooth and nail to protect her state's laws and funding. Trump smirked, "Good, I'll see you in court." That should be a real easy one, before tossing in a parting shot. Enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Mills' term limited and done in 2026 didn't blink. Hours later, the U.S. Department of Education opened an investigation into Maine's policies. This is no small skirmish. It's a war over transgender rights, federal power, and the future of sports. The spark? A transgender high school pole vaulter in Maine won a state championship, and the story blew up when Republican State Reps Laurel Libby put it on blast. That victory became a lightning rod, fueling Trump's push to enforce his order nationwide. Maine, though, isn't backing down. Mills insists her state will follow its own laws, like the Maine Human Rights Act, which bans discrimination based on gender identity, alongside federal rules that don't bend to Trump's interpretation. She's ready to gamble millions in school funds on a legal showdown, betting that the courts will side with her defiance. Trump, meanwhile, sees this as a slam dunk, a chance to cement his agenda early in his term. What's unfolding here is bigger than one state or one athlete. It's a test of who gets to draw the line on inclusion, the policy divide, Title IX and trans rights. At the heart of this clash is Title IX, the 1972 law meant to ensure equal opportunities in education, including sports. Trump's order says sex in that law means biology at birth, period. No room for gender identity. His argument? Letting transgender girls compete with cisgender girls is unfair, a betrayal of the law's spirit. Supporters cheer this as a win for female athletes, claiming it levels the playing field. But critics, including Mills, call it discrimination dressed up as justice. Maine's stance mirrors a broader push by progressive states to protect transgender rights under local laws, even if it means defying Washington. The executive order isn't law yet, it's a directive, but it's got teeth. Non-compliant states risk losing federal cash, and Maine's $250 million is a hefty chip to play. This isn't hypothetical. That pole vaulter's win wasn't just a feel-good story, it was ammunition. Conservative voices on X and beyond seized it, arguing it proves transgender athletes have an edge. Data's murky, though. Studies on transgender women in sports show hormone therapy often slashes physical advantages. But the debate's less about science and more about optics. For Mills, it's personal too. Her state's already faced heat over inclusive policies, and she's not about to let Trump steamroll them. She doubled down, saying Maine will not be intimidated. a line that's echoing across blue states. Meanwhile, Trump's team moved fast. By afternoon, the Education Department was digging into Maine's compliance. It's a 1-2 punch. Threaten the money, then probe for leverage. Legal fireworks and national fallout. This fight's headed for the courts, and it's not uncharted territory. Lawsuits challenging Trump's order are already popping up elsewhere. Think New York, California, claiming it violates federal law and the Constitution. Maine's case could be the tipping point. If Mills wins, it's a blueprint for resistance. If she loses, Trump's policy gets a green light. Legal experts are split. Title IX's never explicitly covered gender identity, but recent Supreme Court rulings, like Bostock versus Clayton County in 2020, suggest discrimination based on it might not fly. Then again, Trump's got a conservative bench stacked in his favor. Mills is banking on precedent and public support, but it's a gamble. Maine schools can't run on fumes if the feds pull the plug. Nationally, the stakes are sky high. Transgender rights are a cultural third rail. Touch it and sparks fly. X is a mess of takes. Some hail Trump as a defender of fairness. Others paint Mills as a hero against overreach. The pole vaulter's story keeps trending, with parents and athletes on both sides digging in. Beyond Maine, other states are watching. Red ones might fall in line with Trump. Blue ones could join Mills' rebellion. And the timing? Brutal. Trump's barely settled into the Oval Office, and he's already picking this fight. Classic move to rally his base. Mills, nearing the end of her tenure, has nothing to lose and a legacy to burnish. It's a perfect storm, and the fallout's just starting. What's next? A battle beyond the White House. So where's this going? Short term, Maine's under the microscope. That Education Department probe could turn up violations, or nothing if Mills's lawyers outmaneuver it. Long term, the courts will settle it, but don't hold your breath. Cases like this crawl. By summer, we might see injunctions blocking Trump's order, or Maine might be scrambling to rewrite its budget. The transgender athlete debate won't die either. Every win, every record will get dissected, feeding the cycle of outrage and counter-outrage. Trump's playing offense, betting he can force compliance before the gavel drops. Mills is on defense, hoping to outlast him in a legal slog. Zoom out, and it's bigger than sports. It's about who controls identity in America, states or the feds, courts or executives. Trump's order tests how far he can push his vision. Mills' stand tests how much states can push back. The pole vaulter, just the tip of the spear. Across the country, kids, parents, and coaches are caught in the crossfire, waiting to see whose rules stick. X-posts keep pouring in. Some call it a tragedy, others a triumph. But the truth's messier. This clash isn't about one winner. It's about power, principle, and a nation that can't agree on either. Here's the kicker. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Trump and Mills have drawn their lines, and the next move's in the courts, or maybe the streets if protests flare. What do you think? Is Trump right to rewrite Title IX, or is Mills the last stand for fairness? Drop your take below. I read every comment. This story's evolving fast, and I'll keep you posted as it breaks. If you want more deep dives into the battles shaping our world, hit that subscribe button. Join the crew. We're unpacking the chaos together. See you in the next one.